All right, welcome in, guys, to my presentation, my TED Talk here, whatever you want to call it. It's been about 2 to 3 months since I made content like this. I just want to apologize, but I've been doing a lot, right? I moved across the country. I took a vacation for like 2 weeks in Europe to go to Mykonos in Greece with some friends. Drove a lap around the country, visited family, saw people. But honestly, that's kind of why I want to get into today's talk. I reunited with like quite a few people that I had known in the past, just saw, where they were going with life. And I can remember some of the conversations I've had with them before, what they wanted to do, the things they wanted to accomplish, the people they wanted to be, etc. And it's kind of pressing on me to bring this issue up because I am now realizing nowadays how many people are fake in terms of what they're doing, right? So many people want the image, there's a difference, right, between starting a company because you want the results of it versus starting a company to say, I started this company, right? And I was kind of like that at first, right? I wanted to have some sort of purpose in my life. But without getting into it too far, we're going to discuss really the differences between the people that actually are and have entrepreneurship mindsets and visions versus, the people that might be faking it and the people that just say they want those things but clearly aren't motivated. Because I want you to determine, are you falling into the fake side or are you actually doing the things that's going to make you a real entrepreneur and get you the real success an entrepreneur would see at the end of the day? From my real lessons. Let's get into it. So what is an entrepreneur? This is actually a definition from ChatGPT. I'm going to make my image a little smaller there. But an entrepreneur is an individual who creates, organizes, and operates a business or businesses, often taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. And that's kind of a jumbo definition from a bunch of sources kind of put together. But you're organizing the people, the money, the time, any resources, right, to make an idea into an end product. And what I put down below is regardless of the industry, you have to be the person with a vision. There's a reason you're doing this, right? It's because you want to escape the 9-to-5 rat race. You want to retire your parents. You want to live overseas. You want to be this person, right? And you have to have a vision not only of just what the company is, but who you are going to be when you establish this company and where this company is going to go at the end of the day and what impact it's going to have on the greater world. And you need to be capable of also getting in the trenches, but also unable to guide those who do. Able to guide those who do. So when let's say you're at a marketing agency, right, and you have to outreach to clients, you might have people doing that grunt work day to day, 2 or 3 years from now. But in order to have effective quality control, you need to understand how these people are conducting their day-to-day operations, what numbers and KPIs are good for them to achieve, what their lead to close conversion cycle looks like, and what a normal rate of return would be. So you understand if they're a good salesman or not, things like that. And you need to be driven toward the end result, financial or not, right? It doesn't have to be $100,000 a month or even $10,000 a month or financial. It can just be, I want to have the free time and supplement the income to replace the time I would have to work to allow myself to do what I want each month and not have to think about the bills. Who is not thinking like an entrepreneur? And this is kind of like a question for you guys, but also it's pretty obvious, but we're going to go through the differences, right? So somebody that just doesn't want to work, right? And I know we just used that last example, but if your purpose is I don't want to work because work is hard and I don't like work, and being an entrepreneur seems like it can answer that, then you're on the wrong boat because you have to understand that there's a lot more work that actually goes in to be able to work less. And it's kind of like you have to tackle all these things at the front end to get where you want to be on the back end. You also want to call themselves a business owner, but you don't want to do the work of managing the business. You just like putting that in your Instagram bio or your job, resume just because it sounds good. You want to flex your excess cash. You want to do the, money spread on your arm or spread it across the bed or put it in the, money counter machine just to show, I am successful and I did it. You want to buy cool designer items with your money. You want to buy the Lamborghini before you even have money to keep your lights running month to month. And you just want to be able to show everyone that you can afford a Gucci shirt. Or you want to focus on just one primary task and you want to get really good at just sales and stuff. I threw that last one in there because it's a key difference, right? So versus somebody that embraces the grind set, that understands that being an entrepreneur means you're going to be faced with many different challenges, that you're going to, and following on the last point on the left here, going over to the right, wants to partner with those who master tasks, right? If you're focusing on one primary task, then you are a salesman, right? You are really good at sales. You're not leading or going to be able to lead a team of people who do sales, because to lead that team, you also have to understand human resources. You have to understand budgeting, payroll, things like that, that you can't just focus on the sales part, because your business is not going to stay alive. You also need to see a business as a means and not an end. And just like that, you have to see money, right, as a means and not an end. Being able to appreciate the fact that your business is going to accomplish a greater end goal, and the business itself is not the end, right? The business is producing a cash flow, which you are using that cash flow to accomplish your dreams with, and to buy back your time and abilities by having other people do those tasks. The business itself just existing is not doing anything. But what the business's purpose is to replace what you would do, right? Otherwise, just hustling on your own. That's also gonna reinvest and respect money as a whole. Somebody that can do this, right, understands that money comes and goes, right? There's a ton of books you can read. I would recommend The Lords of Easy Money. I just finished reading that. It's a great book about how the money cash cycle works and how the Fed issues money, so you can understand that money really, at the end of the day, is just a means, and it doesn't actually mean anything unless it's circulating into the economy. Somebody else that wants to scale their means to freedom. Again, it's fine, right? If you don't want to work, right? If you can replace your 9 to 5 with a job that is, overseeing people that are doing 9 to 5s for you, so that way you can have your time freed up and not be run by someone else's clock. That is a means of freedom, because you're now self-sufficient and you can set the rules of the game instead of having to adhere to someone else's. So I know we kind of skipped around, but left versus right, which one are you? And this is a problem, right? There's too many mental masturbators. The term might sound weird or inappropriate or whatever, but I don't really know how else to categorize it. There's too many people out there that essentially stroking it to the idea of being an entrepreneur, but they're so scared of actually doing the tough things. Actually think of the task of masturbating as a whole. And I know this is really weird, but stay with me here, right? You're attached to this idea that you're not actually doing the action that you're trying to do. You just want to feel like you're doing the action and get all of the results of doing that action, but not actually any of the work that comes with, in the referenced case, going out with someone, building a relationship, doing any of that. You just want instant gratification. The people that want the gram-worthy lifestyle with none of the results. And that's why I use, again, that acronym. But you may already have a comfortable job or the supporting income, and so you're not really motivated to go out there and actually, put every ounce of your free time into this. Because, you don't need to. You're in a comfy lifestyle. You don't want to act disciplined unless you're actually motivated on that day. And, that'll come and go. It could vary, whether the sun's, at this angle or that angle, that might depend on how you feel getting this task done. Discipline is not to be replaced by motivation. It's to act as if motivation never existed in the first place. Discipline at the start is going to supplement any motivation you have, hopefully at some, so you can get to the level of productivity you need to be at. I talk about this in other videos. But eventually, you need to build discipline and scale it linearly while motivation goes on a wave-like pattern, so that discipline can eventually meet the level of production you need to hit with discipline and motivation. And that way, motivation is only going to be like a shot of tren, right? Just juicing you up to hit even further goals. But motivation cannot be, determining when you decide to focus in on something. Somebody else that can't stick to any consistency in your life, right? Nature versus nurture. And the reason I wrote this down is because some people are brought up that way, right? Maybe you're traveling or moving around a lot as a kid because of your parents. And so you're used to nothing really going right or not being in the same position a long time. And so you can't, stick to doing a monotonous task for that long because your life is constantly changing. And it's constantly changing as an entrepreneur too, but the day-to-day, the rubbing your elbows in the mud and getting the grease on your hands and actually turning the cogs of the machine to continue operations that are according to the plan you came up with, that's going to be very boring, monotonous work, just like a relationship is, or just like maintaining friendships is. And you have to decide if that's actually worth it to you. And a lot of people don't want to do that. And finally, people that are looking for results, again, don't need them, right? You might already have the comfortable job or supporting income, or you want to, retire your parents someday, but, they also have enough money. They don't really need to be like, it would be nice if I could do that, but I don't really feel like I'm in a position of need, right? Like, I'm also sitting in this comfy apartment because my job in the Air Force is paying for it. But that doesn't mean I'm not here late at night filming a video to be able to put out for you guys so that you guys can continue getting content, even at the cost of, me having other projects to work on with my own. I'm taking time to do this because I've determined that this is something that has to be done because you guys need this, mission and vision put out into the world. So how do you change, right? How do you go from the mental masturbator to actually somebody with a true purpose that knows that you're on the right path and not just faking it until you make it? This is really hard because a lot of you aren't going to have results on day one. So when you're in that gap between start and finish, or even start and any sign of progress, that no man's land, how do you know you're on the right path? It's simple. Stop debating. You have the devil on one shoulder, the angel on the other. Don't give that devil the voice or the time of day, because that's always going to be telling you, let's go back. It's always going to be telling you, you don't need the results right now. It's fine. You should lay on your bed and literally, masturbate, or you should scroll on TikTok and get a brain masturbation, or do any of these other things, right? You should go play video games and get that dopamine rush. You don't actually need the results. So why are you working so hard? You deserve more than that. Stop debating with that voice. Don't even give it your time. Just like people use this reference when you're, dating and like trying to become, more confident, and, people are addicted to, staring at naked women on their phone and stuff. And there's this saying, bounce your eyes, right? I would use this the same way. Bounce your eyes. Instead of, feeling like you have to stare at the hot woman all day and become addicted to sexualizing people that you should never really be doing. Instead of bouncing your eyes and just pretending that thought doesn't exist, do the same thing with the devil on your shoulder, right? When he tells you, hey, sit and scroll on your phone, give in to like temptations and get off your God-provided path and the mission that you decided you needed to do. Just look at it and see that somebody's talking to you, there's a voice in your head, and then naturally just shift away. Because like anything else, there's always going to be thoughts. You decide what thoughts get to come to the front of your stage. Most people want both sides of it, right? You want to be the exciting new entrepreneur, but you also still want to fit into the old role. I had a problem with this for so long, right? Because I took a year off from college to work on the business that was Daredevil, which I ended up selling not that long ago. People that are, on my page and familiar with following me, if you didn't know that, I did sell it a few years ago to an investor in Arizona, and they're actually doing pretty well at scaling it right now. And we've moved on to new ventures from that point. But that was a big thing at that time, right? Because I dropped out of college. I was putting that role, my first big role of entrepreneur, on my face out for the public, and everyone was like, wow, this guy's really making things happen. But I would still get invites because I was living back home with my parents away from college and figuring out do I still hang out with these people from high school that I got along with and everything. And it was getting really hard because they didn't really recognize who I was. I was hanging out with somebody named Cameron. Hopefully he's okay with me sharing his name. Cameron, if you're out there, hope you're doing great, man. I love you. I hope everything's going well. But this guy was, right, he was a different guy. He was a creative guy. He was somebody that was obsessed with, like, creativity and art. And we created a brand together into another company we ended up growing and that he took over at some point. But I didn't fit in with the actual same friends that I had from high school, even though I was literally living in the same town. When I came back with a different perspective, I was drawn to a new group of people, and I'm just really grateful to have that happen for me. But people want you to exist in their magnetic pull, and I think of it like this, literally, like you have a two-sided magnet, right? Attractive and, repulsive, right? And when you're at ground zero and you're trying to pull away to get to the first big milestone, people are going to either try to pull you back down to ground zero because they're there, or they're going to get repulsed and say, you know what, get away from me, I don't want you anyway. The people that are repulsed and push you away or try to pull you back down, right, they're going to be people that don't feel like they have the confidence or the ability to actually get themselves out of their current state, or they just don't know how yet. You can save them, right? You can convince them, hey, this is the way you go. I can help you get there if you just want the opportunity. If the person's good enough and you think they can make it happen, you can always at least offer. But too many people are too scared to put themselves out there and to make change happen that they'll just say, you know what, go do your thing. You're just full of yourself, and you're too confident, and you're arrogant, and you don't really know what you're getting into. But if you want to call yourself this and that, then go do so. And a lot of times it's hard, right? Because they're going to be right. Like, you haven't achieved a lot yet, and you haven't seen, the revenues you want come in or the profit margins that you want to achieve. And so it's going to be really hard to turn those people away because they're right. But if you can, and if you can understand that this is just, you're in that gray zone where the magnets are pulling hard and you have to put effort into resisting, then they'll either come with you or they'll fall behind, and that's fine. Because when you get to that new level, there's going to be a whole nother wavelength and magnetic pull of people at level 1 instead of level 0. And that's how it is every time, trust me. This is the real truth you won't accept, though. You can easily remain this entrepreneur and actually achieve results way faster than it actually seems to be working right now. But guess what? But you're too scared to let people go that were in your past or have their say, right? You don't want to like ignore them or pretend that, their thoughts don't matter, even though they really don't. And so your dreams die because of it, because you're uncomfortable with making people feel uncomfortable with who you are now. And so your dreams also seem too hard. You can't post content on your Instagram because people aren't going to recognize you anymore. Who cares? You went to prom with these people. Do you think they control your life? The government puts you in a classroom with them, and so all of a sudden your whole life is dedicated to fitting in the image that you gave them? No, that's not how it works. And you know what? That's fine by me if you believe that, because you're not even going to try to compete against me then. And so I get all your business, all your market share, and you can just sit on the sidelines and watch if that's what you're comfortable with. And I like this saying, wolves can sleep around sheep, but sheep cannot sleep around wolves. This is the big litmus test I give myself, right? And how I know I'm a wolf instead of a sheep. Because if you're a sheep, right, let's say if you're a wolf that's surrounded by a flock of sheep can easily sleep because it knows the sheep aren't going to threaten it. But the sheep can't sleep around wolves because a sheep that has 6 wolves in a pack surrounding it knows that it's going to get eaten up and killed if it even tries to rest. And so you want to feel like you're a sheep surrounded by wolves instead of a wolf surrounded by sheep. And if you are surrounded by sheep, then you're not in the right environment, and you should not belong where you are. You should eat the sheep up and move on to find more wolves and to find your pack. Because if you are a sheep sleeping with wolves, right, you're gonna essentially feel like everyone's coming to get you all the time, and so you're gonna have to put extra effort into keeping yourself one step ahead to get out of that situation. And when you feel that desperation enough, that's when you actually make progress, and it can come from a million different sources. But don't sleep around sheep if you're a wolf, because you're never gonna feel like you're actually fitting in or anything belongs the way it is. Why is it so hard to truly commit to change? It's because it's not a role, it's a character. And I want you to think of character like a video game, right? You know how you create your 2K player, your avatar, whoever you are. You don't really change what that person looks like at the end of the day. You'll change, their hair, their features, or their clothing like you would. But right, if you have this avatar that you're pretending to be in a video game, you can do different tasks, right? You can, take it out in Grand Theft Auto, you can drive the car, you can go in the barber shop, you can do all the missions and stuff, but you're still this figure, right? And every time you log into the video game, which should be the life you're trying to earn, right? Like, this is your future life, is this video game. You need to start adopting a persona on and off, and that's your character in the game. I like to say, find the superhero cape. And what that means is, it could be a million different things, right? Maybe maybe this necklace that I'm wearing, right? This pendant is like my secret power, right? It's like the Iron Man, the core that's, in my chest. Or maybe I have this like Glock that I carry on my waist, and all of a sudden I feel like, the Texas Ranger, and that's my alternate persona. But whatever that, figure is, I like to literally make it something physical, like a, wristband or something like that. When you put that thing on, maybe it's a literal cape, you become this persona. And that's a good way to start, by adopting that character, because it's going to be difficult, right? It's going to take time. And we're going to go back here 1 second, because I also just want to say, when you're adopting a persona of a character, right, you want to be, like, I would always use, for instance, Caleb Thomas when I was getting started. My name is Caleb Schulke, obviously you're following me, but Caleb Thomas was this figure that was confident, that could get the job done, that didn't, take any shit from anyone, that would stand his ground. And I used that to get this YouTube channel started, but now I'm transitioning it to my name because I'm starting to realize that I don't have to be this persona anymore. This persona of Caleb Thomas allowed me to take on a name of somebody that I could feel like I was stepping into their shoes and treating life through a different perspective and mindset. But now I've just realized that I do it now so often that it's just who I am at this point, and I don't even have to pretend to be anyone else. So I always say, start by, finding that person that you can pretend to be, that sees the world through a different lens. And as you get more and more comfortable with keeping that wrist, bracelet on, or the necklace or whatever, that you step into that role, and that's like hopping out of the phone booth like Superman, you slowly become more and more comfortable with having that persona on all the time. And eventually it just becomes you. And you can throw away Caleb Thomas or any other character that got you into the role. There's a few major mindset beliefs and understandings that you have to have if you want to go from a fake entrepreneur to a real entrepreneur. First of all, real entrepreneurs understand that fake ones don't, is that it's going to take time. And although fake ones might understand that fact, or at least be familiar with it, real ones actually want it to take time. Like I said before, you want to differentiate yourself from the pack. You don't want people on your heels very easily because you did all the hard work that everyone else can't do. And so you're a huge tier ahead of everyone else. And you want it that way because with that comes respect. Number 2, the perfect body isn't built overnight, but over time. Same with the business. And think of it literally like you're working out, right? You start a new routine. Part of the reason why I recommend, working out is one of the most important things you can do before you ever start a business, because your health is your wealth at the end of the day. If you start working out a day, you're not going to notice anything other than a slight pump. 2 days, nope. 3 days, nope. Maybe a week you get a slight bigger pump and you can see where you're going. It's not until 2 or 3 months or even half a year that you can look in the mirror and say, damn, I actually have a six-pack now. I have biceps. I can see my veins on my forearms and things like that. If you're a girl, I got a nice ass. Like, my legs are nice and toned. I have good calves, whatever it may be. All those things that you're looking for, right? To fit in and feel like you're really accomplishing things in the gym. It all takes time. You're not going to see it from day one, but over time you'll slowly realize that you're assuming those goals and you're morphing into that person that you had that vision of from day one. It's the same with the business, right? You're going to come back and say, wow, I made a couple calls today. I did a couple tasks off the to-do list this week. Wasn't very good. I still feel like shit. I still feel lonely. I still feel like I don't have anyone in my life. But 3-4 months from now, damn, thank you, Caleb Thomas, for putting in the work. That past character that you used to help get you in that mindset and get you going. Number 3, people matter more than the money. The right ones are on the other side of your current magnetism. I always say that, right? Because that always encourages you to pull yourself up to the next tier. I think every major change I've had with business has always started from escalating my tier. I started with ground zero, right? And when I found that tier 1 of here's creative people in my hometown that also understand my business goals and can help me, I naturally separated from the ones that weren't doing that. And that first tier, people like, Cam that I talked about, they were people that got me at tier 1 to realize my potential, and therefore my business naturally went from ground zero to ground 1. I started making some money. And then every time I escalated that, my business made a little bit more money. And so finding the people that actually complement your needs and have the things that you don't have are always going to be more important than, a new software or, X other investment. You want to keep your relationships going. That's something I really wish I would have had better from the start. Number 4, dating is allowed only if your partner understands your plans and goals. I'm going through like a transition phase right now in terms of the dating style. I used to be on all the apps, and I know a lot of people are like, yeah, you should focus on, just like meeting as many people as possible. Find that partner because that's a huge investment. I agree with that, right? But I also understand that there's current seasons to your life. Right now I'm in the season where I have nothing to do but work. And until I get to that next tier, I'm in no man's land right now. And so anyone I meet, they're going to find somebody that's very lost and somebody that's trying to find friction between where the tier they're at and the next tier. I don't want to meet somebody essentially and have them understand that I can't give time to them because every time in my mind that I'm spending on a date is, an hour that I'm giving up on my business. And so I don't want to resent them or blame them for the fact that I can't meet their needs because of this. It only works, again, number 4, if your partner understands those things. If they say, you know what, they have to get those things done, I'm fine not talking to him for the rest of the night. If he can text me tomorrow, that's all I'm looking for because I understand his mission. If a woman or man or whoever you're with understands that, they're going to be with you from the start and the most loyal partner you'll ever have. But it's very rare to find those people nowadays. Number 5, make pain from the comfort. Everything is a mind game, right? I have all the comfort I need in this apartment. I have a good paying job. I have, income coming in already from current businesses and everything. But, my parents still aren't retired. I still haven't traveled the world. I still don't have, $500,000 a month, whatever it may be. So I'm going to say, I'm disappointed in the fact that I'm not where I want to be yet. I understand I'll get there, but I have work to do, and I am not at the position of comfort that I had set out to be at this point. And so if I can change my perspective to say, you know what, I'm doing, like a normal person would say I'm doing good, but I am not meeting the standards I had set out for myself. If I'm hard on myself like that, I can find pain in myself, and I can have the discipline and motivation to go out there and get it done. And that's why I say number 6, discipline is literally just forced motivation. It can supplement motivation, but at the same time, discipline is your ability to understand that you're not going to have natural, feel-good serotonin motivation every day. And so if you can turn on a switch to understand the reasonings of why you want to get something done, then discipline will kick in because you know that you have work to do and you don't really have a choice. I haven't made money yet. Am I fake? And I know we're kind of just transitioning to this out of the blue, but think about this last point, right? Discipline is just forced motivation. People that, haven't, they put in the work and they're doing the things right and they feel like they're on that right path to success, but they haven't started seeing the results yet, right? They're in between the 2 tiers and they're feeling traction on both sides and they don't know, maybe I just give up and go back down to that tier. Or maybe I have to keep working for God knows how long to get to that next level. Am I fake because I haven't seen, $100,000 come into my account yet, even though the gurus online promise that? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. You may or may not be. But here's how you really know. And here's my litmus test. Do you have a clear 3 whys answer? 3 whys is very simple. Don't overthink it. And you literally just ask yourself, why am I doing this 3 times? For instance, I have a real estate wholesale business doing really well, and we're working with quite a few partners right now. So I asked myself why 3 times. Why do I want to do real estate wholesale? Well, the answer is because I want to be able to provide myself with consistent income and have excess cash that I can put into rental properties. Well, why do I want to do that? I want to have rental properties because real estate is very fascinating to me, and I like talking about properties and having conversations about properties, and it provides, a means to build a net worth at the same time that I have the wholesaling stuff. Okay, well, why do I want to have my net worth be built up? Well, it's because I want to have freedom and the means to be able to start ventures and get into new opportunities when the time comes, right? Like I want to have, if I need $500,000 to invest in a project, I can pull that out of real estate because it's already there. It's an outcome, right? And the money is just means, right? It's not an end. And you notice though, even though I said I want net worth is not, the end, it's the means. That net worth, right? If I have $500,000 of equity in a property, I can pull that out and use that for a startup purpose, right? So maybe like if I ask myself why, I got through 3 pretty easily, but you could go up to 7 or 8, they say, but you should at least be able to get to 3. So if I got through 3 whys, I now know that one of my end goals is to generate opportunities, right? It's not to generate net income, it's to generate opportunities to start new businesses. My end goal, if I went further, what I would tell you was to someday be able to buy and resell and flip businesses as a whole, or join up with other investors to invest in different business startups and projects. And so having that net worth to do that is very important to me. And so again, I'm not placing the value on the money, I'm placing it on opportunities to connect with these high-level opportunities. Number 2, do you choose to work every day or when it's convenient? And I want you to really think about this. Because you might come home from work and you'll sit on Reels for like 30 minutes, and then maybe you'll take a shower, and then maybe you'll grab a little bit of maybe like a snack from the fridge, some juice, stuff like that. Slowly make your way into the office like I used to do some days, and just, sit in front of the computer. Maybe I'll check social media again. I should probably look at, my bank account, make sure like got a good amount in there and stuff. Okay, maybe I'll get to work now. Or do you rush home from work, throw your stuff down, get on your computer, start making cold calls or making opportunities happen from the start? Are you choosing to not waste time? Or are you choosing, I don't have anything else to do. Nobody else is in my life. I might as well work. It's a very difficult thing to actually sit down and to have that audit on your life. You can always do the 1 week audit. Very popular test to do, right? Set a 30-minute timer while you're awake throughout the entire week. Every 30 minutes, when the timer goes off, write down what you're doing. And over the entire week, you can see every 30-minute interval, if I'm spending if there's, 50 intervals and I'm spending 22 of them realizing that I'm on my phone when the timer goes off, maybe I shouldn't be on my phone. And then I know, right, I'm not working because I want to. I'm working because it's convenient, because I'm done scrolling for now. And number 3, do you care if you see results? And this is a trick question, right? You shouldn't want to see results, but you also should. Because results don't come from money right away. And I would say it could be years before you even see the money come in at the end of the day, unless you have the right type of business structure and it's set up as a cash flow business. But results could mean that you're realizing that you can actually work 5 hours instead of 4 hours. That you can now handle 16 calls instead of 14 calls a day. You can now have 3 meetings instead of 2. You're actually improving your business operations, and that could be because you're building more endurance physically in the gym, or because you're getting better at solving problems. And those results, in addition, will naturally bring in more cash. But you don't have to see that right away. You just have to understand that that is part of the process. And although you're not going to see dollar signs in your bank account 10 days in, you're going to see those in the long run as long as the habits continue to improve. So if you choose the path, right, knowing it's going to be hard, but it was your best hope for success regardless of what happens. If you understand the time, energy, and supplemental costs it's going to take to earn your success, and if you're decided to commit to having a difficult life for an indefinite amount of time, knowing God knows how long it's going to take for you to figure this stuff out, but I am in it until I do because I don't want the alternative. Without knowing the results, right, but simply just having a chance to make it happen, I would call myself a true entrepreneur, and I think you should too, if you're okay with all those things. What does it mean? These are my major takeaways from this. I know we're wrapping it up here, but this is what I want you to think about. Number 1, you don't have to fake it to be successful. Faking it doesn't mean getting all the Lamborghini pictures or the hot girls or anything like that, or the glory trips to Miami or anything like that. You don't have to fake it, right? You can post those things because you genuinely like doing them and because you're trying to reward yourself from doing hard work. You don't have to post it saying like, oh, this is a day in the life. If you're not going there every day, you can say, I'm excited for this opportunity to go out here and network with some people and expand my opportunities and expand my experiences. You don't have to fake it. Just be who you are, and the people, again, that are going to stick with you and pull themselves up with you are going to encourage you to do that. Don't hate the people that don't. just understand their visions for you are different. Number 2, going backwards is the first step to going forward. And that's kind of tied into that, right? You're going to feel like you're losing people, right? That people are turning off to you in your life, that you are going to have to give up things, right? That you're going to have to not be able to sit on Netflix or Xbox or whatever it is. And you're going to feel very lonely, and you're going to feel tired, and you're going to feel overworked. But eventually you're going to get more comfortable doing those things. And you're going to start seeing money come in. You're going to start seeing your followers go up. You're going to start seeing results because of that. And you're going to get more excited. But you got to go back first. It's like getting out of your parallel park, right? You got to go back, forward, and eventually you can finally go forward all the way. But it's going to feel like you're not going anywhere for quite a bit. Number 3, the night is darkest just before the day. I think they said that in The Dark Knight, if I remember, and I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies. But I was kind of in that phase recently. I think I still kind of am, right? Because I moved across the country here. I live by myself. I'm still working with the Air Force, the day-to-day job. I don't have anyone really that lives by me that I know in my life. It's lonely, right? But I also understand that as long as I'm spending that darkness, right, the dark hours, putting myself into my craft and getting better, then this will compound in the end. And at the end of the day, the sun's going to rise. And when it rises and shines on, what I've accomplished, they're going to find a lot has been done. Number 4, you're going to feel the silent voice judging. This is probably the biggest takeaway, right? Even though it's weirdly placed at number 4. There's going to be people, right? And I keep hitting this home because it's so hard for so many people. You're going to feel when you post on social media, you're like, oh, all my posts have been about, my football team and, the baseball team I've been on, or, the clubs I've been in high school and stuff. And all of a sudden I'm posting about, making my credit score better or, tips on how to budget. It's so weird. Who's going to even like this stuff? You're going to find likes eventually. Might not be a lot at first. And you're going to feel like, wow, nobody likes this post. It's probably because they just don't understand it. Maybe I should stop. And you're going to feel like all these thoughts are coming in that other people are saying, or you're trying to figure out what other people are saying, but it's really just you putting your own thoughts in your head. Nobody's saying that to you. There's nobody else in the room. And if there are, then those people aren't your friends. It's going to happen regardless of what step you're on. And I tell you, it's only going to get more severe as you cross to different tiers. But the people that will surround themselves with you because of those things that you're posting at higher tiers, it's going to be easier. You don't need it as much then, but you have to understand that this is the hardest it will probably ever be for you to ignore this, because it's all you know, and it's your community online is all you have. Number 5, there's no blueprint to life because of that, right? Because everyone's judging you. If all the people that are judging you have $10 billion of net worth, then sure, maybe it might mean a little bit more, right? But I guarantee they took completely different paths to success if that was the case for them, and they didn't fit in either. And everyone probably judged them. So I don't know why they would be judging you. But nobody has a plan of what you're going to do in your life, except me, right? Because I'm in the military, and the military has your 20-year retirement plan all figured out. But that's not something, I want or most people want. And nor should it really be something to aim for. It's something that you can count on, if you get to that point. But it should never be, your goal to just get by at the end of the day. You want to make the most out of life. I'm not saying, it's not respectable to do a whole career in the military. It's just not what I personally feel. And there's a lot of great people that I've met that have done that. But it just doesn't align with what I want to do. And so that's fine. But again, for some people, that's their blueprint. For mine, it's going to be completely different. You just have to understand that people see the world differently. And that's why you can't let them judge. And you can't let them determine, whether you're on the right path or wrong. Finally, common trends breed common results. God, this one's very important too, right? If you are doing what everyone else is doing, if you're driving the same way to work every day, it's going to take you just as long in traffic to get there when everyone else gets there. If you're going to work at 4 a.m., the road's going to be empty because nobody else is doing that. You're going to have a much easier time, but it's going to feel lonely. Is that something you're okay with? Because I'd rather drive, down an empty road any day and avoid the traffic and the frustration and the headaches and all the pain of stupid people that come across my way just because I decided to be like everyone else. I don't want that. I don't think you should either. Last, I believe in you. You guys are amazing, right? Everything that you have in your head, literally, it's sitting there, right? There's something in your head that you're like, it would be great if I started a podcast or something. It would be great if I just opened that art studio. Why don't you do it, right? Because when you're 85 years old and your grandkids are like, tell me about that story about how you made all that happen. You don't want to say, well, I never actually did make it happen just because I didn't think I could do it. Is that the you want to be? Or do you at least want to try and fall knowing that you did your best? That's what makes a real entrepreneur. I believe in you guys. I love you. I only want the best and most success to come your way. I'll be back with more videos. It'll be shorter. It'll be more entertaining, I promise. But this is the 3-month catch-up of all my thoughts and how we're going to transition back into this channel that's going to be great someday. I know it will be, and I know you guys, if you're magnetic and will stick with me, will come to see it to fruition. Take care. I love you, and we'll be back.